Hi there, it's Denise Eckert from the Relaxation Lounge, and I love coming on here with techniques and tricks to help you reduce the stress in your life. And my speaker today is Winnie Wang, and she's a licensed acupuncturist that specializes in releasing trauma and blockages from the body. She's the author of Honoring Darkness, Embrace Shadow Work to Nourish and Grow Your Power. Her book is a journey about how she became a well-loved woman because she loves herself unconditionally. Welcome, Winnie.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Denise. I'm so excited to be here. And I just love your podcast so much. Oh my God, who doesn't want to relax some more?
Exactly. And you know what? The thing is taking the time to do the relaxation makes all the difference in our world. Now, how did you get into doing what you do?
Yeah, so the short answer is that I had a lot of physical pain. And so I went to study traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture so that I can reset my nervous system. It's really incredible how, for all the listeners out there who have never tried acupuncture before, literally stress cannot survive acupuncture. It's really funny because in the first year of my practice, my clients loved me so much that they started coming every week. And I actually had to raise my prices. I actually doubled my prices because I didn't want them to be dependent on Winnie. Like, oh, well, I'll just go to Winnie once a week and have my stress disappear, because I didn't want to become this robot who just put needles in people and help them relax. I mean, of course, that's what acupuncture is great for. But what I really want to do is educate people so they don't get stressed in the first place. What I love to say is the body keeps a score. So every time we get stressed, that stress stays in the body. And let's focus on anxiety, because I think we have a lot of anxiety in the society. I was just at a play date this weekend. My friend is a child talk therapist, and she sees clients from 5 to 22-year-old. And she said, Winnie, you wouldn't believe it. The wait list is 1.5 years to get a child talk therapist, because during the pandemic, with the lockdown, the anxiety and depression is so bad. And we have a serious teenage suicide problem. And so I really want to focus on anxiety in this episode, which is anxiety is when we are overthinking. We're like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? And most of this actually is stored in our third chakra, which is between the belly button and the diaphragm. And that's why medically, we often see this irritable bowel syndrome, right? Either people have constipation or diarrhea, or they alternate, because when we have anxiety, what it really means, we have no acceptance of what is happening in our life right now. Right? So think about our stomach, our digestive organs. It's really made to receive. So how we can receive the totality of our anger, our fears, our shame, and also, my lover's anger, my children's anger, my client's anger, the politicians' fear tactics, everything in our environment, how we receive ourselves is how we receive others, and also how we receive food. And so everything is related. And so what I actually love doing is well, if it's in person, I love to give abdominal massages. And I like to joke that I can help people flatten their stomach in 2 inches in one session, just because so many people have a lot of bloating in their abdomen and it's all empty. It's just stress and stuck energy that's in their abdomen. And one of my favorite questions that I get a lot from my clients is, okay, Winnie, the blockages that removed from me, is that temporary or is it permanent? Because everybody wants to come and have permanent results. And I said, what I do, the effect is permanent and it's temporary. It's permanent in the sense that whatever stress you came in with, the work that I did permanently removed it. However, if you don't change the way you live, in 3 days, you're going to have new stress, right? Your boss is going to yell at you. Your kids are going to play video games. Your spouse is not going to take out the trash, whatever. If you don't change yourself in 3 days, you're going to generate new stress that's going to be stored. So my passion is really in educating people how to receive the totality and just trust the process. I really think trust is a key word here. One of my favorite quotes is, a bird can relax on the branch, not because the bird trusts the branch not to break, but because the bird trusts its wings and its ability to fly. So the reason we can relax isn't because we don't think COVID is going to happen. We don't think we never get earthquakes or we never get fired from jobs and, our kids never get called into the principal office. If we worry about all of those things, we're not ever going to be able to relax on the branch. The branch is going to break at some point, that's the nature. But what we get to trust is our wings and our ability to fly. And I know that all the listeners are so lucky to have Denise and the podcast of Relaxation Lounge, because life happens. And our wings is the breath work. Everything that Denise talks about in every episode on how to relax, those coping mechanism is our ability to fly. So everybody, let's take a deep breath together. Inhale. And exhale. In one breath, we can relax.
You know what? I mean, I'm launching my new mobile app, and it's been a little bit stressful. But being the host of the Relaxation Lounge doesn't mean I don't have stress, but I have that awareness where I step away and turn my brain into different thoughts. Like I just switch my thoughts. And it is so powerful because in the past, I would have been freaking out. I would have been stressed. I've been sweating. My stomach would have been upset. And I would have put myself in a spiral, not in a good way. And it's amazing once you do create that awareness, how powerful that awareness is. And I love the bird on the branch. Yeah. If the bird's sitting up there trembling and scared and fearful, that branch is going to be wiggling and it's going to break. It's going to snap. I love that. So what do you do when you are feeling stressed? What are the steps that you take?
Okay, I have really done everything on earth because I've had a lot of anxiety and my mom has a lot of anxiety. My ancestors have a lot of anxiety. In fact, I want to say I inherit all the anxiety from my mom's side, and I inherit all the depression from my dad's side. I really feel that I have discovered the one shortcut. Of course, I can go get a massage, take a shower, go out in nature. But by far, okay, so let's say I'm in the middle of like an anxiety and my clients are coming in 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, Winnie, you got 3 minutes. What are you going to do? I get down on my knees and I put my head on the ground. I completely surrender my ego, and you can call it prayer or meditation. I call it prayer because I believe in a higher power. And I just pray and I said, take my stress away. And I tell you, this method works every single time. And the science behind it is that stress comes from asking this question: how will I perform? How will the app that I make perform? Right? For me, it's like, well, how will I perform on the podcast? So all the stress comes from the ego, this attachment to I. And the technology of getting down on my knees and putting my forehead onto the ground is I'm submitting. I am trusting, I'm surrendering. In the yoga, you can call it baby pose, but baby pose with forehead on the floor. I'm saying, I am a baby. God, take care of me. Universe, take care of me. Mother Earth, take care of me. I'm a baby. I'm going to give all of this anxiety performance issues back to Earth. And I'm just going to trust. And I kid you not, even in 90 seconds, that can go away.
Yeah, that's powerful because you're releasing it and you're giving it up. And even a small ritual like that, where you're releasing something, it's gone. That's pretty powerful. Now, for someone that deals with anxiety all the time, what practices do you recommend? I mean, I have done acupuncture for different things. I'm not quite sure how acupuncture would actually reduce the stress in your life. Not reduce the stress, I guess, get rid of the symptoms of stress.
Yeah, so this is something I want to talk about in my next book, but in the short form is to have a 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and 1 year plan, right? So if you are in the middle of a panic attack, you might actually need to call 911, right? Or you might need to call the suicide hotline. So know the numbers and know your best friend, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes just somebody holding your hand or a hug can ground your nervous system. And I know, I actually had a girlfriend call me in the middle of the night last night and be like, Winnie, help me. And in 4 minutes, I was able to calm her down. And so have the support network where if you have 1 hour, that is the thing you implement. The 1 day plan is if you have 1 day, if you make it to the next morning, then you can go get a massage or an acupuncture. And just very simply, our body is like a computer. It's encoded in ones and zeros. And what it really means is 1 is energy is flowing, and 0 is energy is stuck. We can open by using breath. So do you need acupuncture? No, you don't need it. If you can breathe, you can restore something from a 0 to a 1, from stuck to flow. The beauty of acupuncture is like, bam, it's open. So it's fast. The needle goes in, and then it's like literally the needle goes in within 90 seconds. You're just like, oh. So I'm like, okay, why? Of course, you want to have a breathwork practice, but why not do acupuncture? Because the results are instantaneous, and you just have to lie on a table. So that's what I call the 1-day plan. And the 1-week plan is to get a talk therapist, to work on the issues and to address the conversations that you have that generate the stress. So remember, I opened with, okay, well, if you don't change in 3 days, all the anxiety is going to come back. So acupuncture, it's kind of like a Band-Aid. Well, if I have anxiety right now, bam, I do it, it's gone. If you have 1 week, you should get a talk therapist or a life coach, something to reprogram your mind. And then if you have 1 month, that's when I say you should start to take yoga classes, meditation, and really begin to change your body from the inside. And then if you have over 1 year, I really encourage people to know the divine, know this higher power. And, I am a nerd. I have 4 science degrees. So I actually love, Christian, Taoist, Buddhist, Hindu, all the, spiritual traditions in the world. Anything that talks about love, forgiveness, compassion, humility, gratitude is good. To me, it's like, hey, I speak Chinese, you speak Spanish. Okay. There's just so many different ways to learn love, to learn how to receive, to learn how to trust and relax. And imagine, right? This is why I call it the 1-year plan, because instead of Winnie has to go get another degree, Winnie has to get another certification. So this is how I explain it. Okay, so let's say in order for Winnie to make money, every degree that she gets is 100 units of authority or power. Okay, so I have 4 science degrees, so that means I have 400 units. And then I get certified in yoga, another 500. I get certified in Reiki, another 100. I get certified in another modality, another 100, right? So I can spend my whole life working hard, building my resume. Okay, maybe I get to 800 and somebody who's at 300 looks at me at 800, be like, wow, Winnie, you're so impressive. But that's just all ego, human, 3D realm. What if God's source universe is raining $10 million per second? And I have access to it. You have access to it. Every single human being has the same access to this universal power, love, wisdom. So that instead of struggling, oh, I need to get another degree, I need to get another whatever, I have to work hard, just be like, no, I don't. I just have to go into prayer, go into baby pose, surrender, and say, hey, rich daddy, give me some money. Take care of me. What if God is like a 24/7 ATM? All you have to do is ask, right? What if the prayer is the password to this 24/7 ATM? Literally, I don't have to stress at all. Everything I need is already provided for. So I would say that's like the 1-year plan. If you made it through the 1 hour one day, 1 week, 1 month. If you have been anxiety for over a year, maybe you should consider the 1 year plan.
Yeah. And it's really hard too, I find, post-pandemic, all the fear that was instilled into our lives. And now still, they're trying to still put that fear into our lives. Like even for where I live, I was just talking to a friend, and every time there's a black cloud that comes over our place, it's tornado warning and it's extreme this and extreme that. And it's like, even the weather is producing fear and anxiety. It's just so crazy. And I love what you say about just the surrender. And I know for myself, before I go to bed, I thank the universe, and I trust that the universe has my plan in its best interest. And that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And I feel the confidence with that. And it's hard. Like at the beginning, it was really hard to make that shift because you'd always worry about what's going to happen next, or what if this doesn't happen, if that doesn't happen. And it's so hard to make that shift. But once you do, it's a completely different lifestyle, isn't it?
I love that you say once you make that shift, and I like to tell the listeners about how I made the shift. So up until 2017, I have been holding all these grudges about everybody who did me wrong. So that was living in the past. And I was also really fearful with a lot of anxiety. And it's so ridiculous because at that time, I thought that my daughters were young, and whether my daughters are popular in school or not depended on whether I am popular as a parent or not. And so I spend a lot of time trying to be popular as a mom and worrying, okay, who's inviting me to which party and how do I, network and, doing all that human realm stuff, stress. At that time, I had a near-death car accident. And I remember thinking, in 3 seconds, I'm gonna die. And everything literally flashed back to me, all the grudges I ever had and all the fears and anxiety that I'd ever had. And I was like, Winnie, in 3 seconds, none of those things matter. I just wasted my whole life holding grudges and worrying about dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if I get another chance, I don't want to live in the past or in the future. I don't want to have anxiety or grudges. I want to live in the now. I want to have joy. And of course, I didn't die. And actually, it was really funny because up until that point, I've never meditated one day in my life. And I never had any spiritual practice, never knew God, divine, nothing. I was completely disconnected from my divinity. And that, I feel like I had to have the car accident so I can have the spiritual awakening. And so we can spend our time worrying, oh my God, am I going to die in the tornado? Hey, you never know when the next car accident is going to hit you. You really, really don't know. We'd like to be control freaks and think that, hey, if I plan this A, B, C, D, E, okay, plan A, plan B, plan C. But the reality is we could die in a car accident today. Or we can have a spiritual awakening today, listening to this podcast, right? So I would like to invite all the audience to think about, well, if I really start living in the now, then maybe God wouldn't give me a car accident to wake me up. Yeah, so we'd like to think, oh, there's more time, you know, I will take that class later, I'll do the breath work later, I will get the acupuncture later, I will deal with this later. And trust me, I spent my whole life thinking, well, you know what? I have to work. Let's get another degree, you know, let's write another book, do another course, keep doing. When am I actually going to start slowing down and just enjoy my breath, my being?
Wow. Powerful. I'm just going to give this a second. That's very powerful. So we're going to wrap things up here. Any final words or words of wisdom that you can share with the audience? That was pretty powerful. I don't know if you can top that.
So I actually wrote a book called Honoring Darkness, Embrace Shadow Work to Nourish and Grow Your Power. And I'm going to tell you right now, I wrote that book with the idea that if I died in 3 months, what is the gift that I want to leave behind for humanity? And it's this idea that everything that I have seen in my clinical practice as an acupuncturist, all the disorders, whether you want to say, you know, irritable bowel syndrome, migraine headaches, hip pain, insomnia, any kind of anxiety, depression, all of those clinical things that you can get a diagnosis for, and autoimmune, it all comes down to stress. And where does stress come from? Stress really comes from attachment. I want something. I don't want something. So it comes from judgment. It comes from deciding something's good and I'm not going to be happy unless I have that. Something's bad and I'm going to be really unhappy and I'm going to avoid that at all costs. Well, first of all, who's the judge here? Do you think you know better than God? I mean, I said and realized, you know what? I don't actually know better than God. Is a car accident good or bad? Apparently I needed it, right? So events are neutral. Humans are meaning-making machines, and we attach meanings to the car accident as good or bad, but actually it's not good or bad. It's what you make of it. And so we think that love, forgiveness, compassion, humility, gratitude, we think all of these things are good. And then we think fear, anger, grief, shame, unworthiness, conflict, victim mentality. We think all of these things are bad. So all day long, when fear comes up or anger comes up or shame comes up, we judge it as bad and we push it away because we don't like it. We don't want to deal with it. So the most powerful thing someone can do for themselves is to confront all the shadows. You know, just sit with the fear and the anger and the shame and the unworthiness so that we come to the idea that everything is divine. The anger is divine. The anger and the fear is a message from the universe that there's something in our lives that need changing. That's all it is, you know. The things that we want to push away, it's actually emails and text messages from the universe trying to tell us, Winnie, wake up, there's something you need to change. And so there is so much gift in the shadow. And that's why when we do the shadow work, we actually get to embrace and nourish our power. Because, all the things that I'm not doing, that message is embedded in the anger and the shame and everything. So instead of pushing it away, I don't like it, if we actually sit and breathe, journal, we're going to be very authentic. Because what does it mean to be authentic? To be authentic means that we are whole, we're complete, we are light and we are dark, we are love and we have hate. We are the complete person. And when we stop judging ourselves when we're in the shadow and really love ourselves unconditionally, no matter what, that is the wings that everyone should have, is the ability to love themselves unconditionally no matter what. And so with all my heart, I really wish every listener to read that book, which you can get from my website, is mindfulhealingheart.com. And if you love the book, I have a companion course that goes with it to really take a deep dive, because honestly, shadow work is really scary. What if I get stuck in the dark tunnel and I can't come out, right? So you want to do it with a guide who will promise to hold your hand and never let go and be your light when you go dark.
Wonderful. So now I understand you have a free video that you can offer our audience here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Harvard brain scientist has shown that whatever feeling that we have, stress, anxiety, actually the chemicals that come from a single thought only produce the feeling for 90 seconds. So what that means is technically we never have to experience anxiety or stress more than 90 seconds. So the question is, how do we stop, interrupt that thought and move that chemical quickly out of the body? So I made this video called 5 moves to move any emotion in 90 seconds. So whether you experience anger, fear, stress, any kind of thing, you do these 5 moves, do it for 90 seconds, and let's see you later. And so, yeah, so this video is inside my free online community. The community is called Compassionate Transformation. And again, you can find the link from my website, which is mindfulhealingheart.com.
Now, is your community on Facebook or is it a separate platform?
Yeah, so it's on this platform called Mighty Networks. And, that's Web3. Facebook and Instagram is Web2, and we are migrating to Web3. And it's so amazing for anybody who hasn't tried it. The difference between Web2, which is Facebook and Instagram, and this Web3 is Web3, we get to own our content, right? So on Facebook and Instagram, they have algorithms determining what you see and don't see, and ads and distractions. Sometimes you go on Facebook, but you got distracted and you go somewhere else. And, on Instagram, if you post a video, but not enough people like it, you don't see that ever again, right? So Web2 has a lot of limitations because we don't control the algorithm, but Web3 is a completely different experience. It's so worth it if you guys have never tried. Yeah, so I have this free community. It's a really amazing experience.
Nice. Can't wait to join it and check it out. Well, wherever you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, Winnie's information will be available. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask, because she's wonderful. So thank you so much, Winnie. Wonderful episode today. I really love what you've said, and what you said is so powerful, and it's simple. It's not hard to, it's just practice, basically.
Thank you. I love you so much, Denise, and sending all of the listeners so much love.
Great. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you're looking for more ways to reduce the stress in your life, please visit www.therelaxationlounge.info. Here I've got access to a free Facebook page where you can get support, information on the podcast where I interview different individuals who share their techniques to help you reduce your stress, plus a membership that you can join where you can come and do stress-reducing practice on demand anytime you need to reduce the stress in your life and create more happiness in your world. I'll see you in the lounge.